What's up, everybody? I'm Flash. This is One Man's Opinion, the show where we cover just about everything. And today we're covering Weird, the Al Yankovic story starring Daniel Radcliffe and Evan Rachel Wood. Now, look, I was excited to see this movie when I heard about it, but the greatest thing that I did was not really see any of the previews for it. I heard about Daniel Radcliffe playing Weird Al in a movie, and I was like, that sounds great. That sounds like something I would watch. I'll love to see it. And it's supposed to be like a biopic. So, you know what? I love Weird Al. I grew up listening to Weird Al. I love his music. I love his style. Hence the shirt today, the Hawaiian button-down t-shirt. Yeah, it was right up my alley. I'm a fan of Daniel Radcliffe as well. And so it was like hand in glove, perfect fit for me. But I really didn't see any of the previews or enough of them to matter. I can't remember really if I saw any at all, which is how I would suggest you go into this movie. Because I thought that this movie was going to be a biopic, like a more biographical walkthrough of Weird Al's actual life and, what got him into his music and how he ended up, doing the parodies and that sort of thing. Spoiler alert, if you haven't seen it, the movie is a parody. It's a hilarious movie that parodies not only Weird Al's life, but other biographical movies that you see all the time about famous musicians that are so self-indulgent, and they all kind of follow the same pattern of the person who had nothing and then rose into fame through their music and then has drug problems and battles back and comes out on the other side. All that is in here. What's funny is Weird Al is probably the least controversial celebrity who has ever existed, certainly one of them. And so instead of telling what would probably have ended up being a rather boring movie about Weird Al's life, because comparatively he just doesn't have that much drama going on. I'm sure he's had ups and downs and a lot of dramatic moments in his life. We all have. But instead of going that route, Weird Al did the smartest thing, which is what he is best at. He parodied his own life. He parodied everyone else's biographical films, and it turned into one of my favorite movies that I've seen probably in the last couple years. It's legitimately hilarious. And the fact that I didn't see any trailers, it took me by surprise even further, because as the movie goes on, it gets more and more ridiculous. And so, 15 minutes in, I'm going, this doesn't seem right. I don't know. I understand that they're probably pushing a little comedy here, so they're probably over-exaggerating a few things that Al went through in his life. Okay, I get that. I'm fine with that. But then by the time you reach the half-hour point, you're like, that's what this is. This is a joke. This whole movie is one giant joke, and it is beautiful. Daniel Radcliffe is phenomenal in this role, and I love that they decided to cast him despite him not looking like Weird Al at all. Weird Al is like 1.5 feet taller than Daniel Radcliffe. I don't know their exact measurements, but I've seen them stand side by side. Weird Al is a tall man. Daniel Radcliffe is not a tall man. And so standing side by side, that's very funny. They have very different facial features. Their hair is different. The only thing they have in common is they're both kind of pale dudes, and they both have dark hair. That's the extent of their similarities. Everything else about them doesn't look the same at all. And that just kind of feeds into the comedy and the unrealistic nature of this film anyway. And so it just, an extra layer. Evan Rachel Wood is phenomenal as Madonna in this movie. I think her role is one of the highlights, along with Rainn Wilson, who does an amazing job in this movie as well. This movie is filled with cameos with people who are good friends of Weird Al popping up throughout the film, including but not limited to a couple of the Lonely Island guys, Jack Black, Seth Green, Patton Oswalt. Okay, the list just goes on and on. Honestly, I would be here all day. Throughout the movie, if you watch movies or TV shows, you're going to see a lot of familiar faces in the crowd. Sometimes just briefly on screen, you'll see somebody. Others have a little bit bigger roles, more extended parts. But it's funny. It's so funny start to finish. And the more outlandish it gets, you're just like, what am I even watching anymore? It really gets out of hand. The whole ending credits is a song written by Weird Al that just talks about how crazy the movie was, and how long the credits are. It's like the start to finish, the whole thing's a giant joke. Honestly, typically in my reviews in the past, I have started with the negatives and finished with the positives. But I got to be honest with you, this movie is exactly what it wanted to be. It is a perfect parody film. And the acting's great in it. There's honestly nothing to pick apart in this movie to me. I love how they lean into Daniel Radcliffe not singing anything in this movie. Every time Daniel Radcliffe opens his mouth to sing Weird Al, his voice comes out of Daniel Radcliffe, which is even, funnier.
Who my little hungry one? Hungry one, open up a package of my banana.
You do get to see Weird Al in the movie. He plays like a chairman, a CEO of a record label company or something like that. So that's pretty funny. It's just, listen, it's a non-stop ride. And I think the movie, the best thing about it is that it gets funnier as it goes. It doesn't start off super hilarious, but there are some subtleties, especially with his parents and the way he interacts with them and things like that. There are things there that are really, really funny, but they're a little more subtle. As the movie goes, it gets more outrageous and the comedy gets a little less subtle. But if you pay attention, there's still some really funny things going on in the background. Just a whole lot here to enjoy. And frankly, I couldn't find anything about the movie not to love. Like I said, it's one of my favorite movies that I've seen in the last couple years. It's super genuine. It's perfect for Weird Al. He spent his life making parodies, and then he makes a parody film that is perfect. It's the perfect movie to follow Weird Al's career. It really, really is. And I understand that it began as I think a college humor or a Funny or Die. I think it was a Funny or Die sketch is where it started several years ago, and since then it's been building to this idea for this film, and I'm just super happy they did it. Having said all that, I don't have any negatives for this movie. Now, I don't believe any movie is perfect. I guess if I was to try to really fish for something, I could have done with a couple more Weird Al songs. There were a few songs I was hoping to hear that I didn't get to hear. And so that was, I guess, if you want to take that as a complaint, you're welcome to have that. I thought that maybe they could have taken his beef with Michael Jackson one step further, because he did more than one Michael Jackson parody. And so I thought it would have been funny if, as revenge for Michael Jackson parodying Eat It, if he would have turned around and parodied Bad with Fat, which is something that he actually did in real life, was parody that song. And so I thought that would have been a funny angle to take it, but honestly, I'm really nitpicking. I'm really searching for something to be like, they could have done this. It's a darn near perfect movie. I don't believe any movie is perfect, and that's why no one gets a 100 out of 100, but this one is about as close as it gets. It sets out to do something very specific, and it does it masterfully. Every aspect of the film is a win for me. That's why I'm giving Weird, the Al Yankovic story, a 99 out of 100. All right, thank you all so much. Have you seen the movie? Let me know what you thought about it in the comments below. Did you enjoy it as much as I did? I really think it's phenomenal. So let me hear it in the comments below. Be on the lookout. I've got a lot more content coming at you. I'm trying to roll out as much as possible right now to build the channel up a little bit. So if you haven't subbed and you enjoy what you see on the channel, make sure you sub and hit the bell. That way you don't miss anything that I'm dropping. A lot of different content coming at you soon. Not to mention, still working on getting my memberships up and running. Thank you so much for stopping by, and if you disagreed with me and you didn't like Weird, don't be mad about it. Remember, this is just one man's opinion. Thanks.